All right, so I'm just going to go through one of the practice problems here for the FS exam. I always just start out by, making sure that I understand exactly what it is we're looking for. Question, this one's pretty straightforward. The height of the tower, assuming it is vertical, is blank. Fill in the blank, round to the nearest tenth. That's important. They tell you, where your significant figures are going to be. Make sure, because when you scale this, it's going to, when you do your sine of an angle, you're going to get, depending on how your calculator's set, you may get, 5, 6 decimal points. But they're telling you to the nearest tenth. That's important information. Angle A, 22 degrees. Angle B is 42. And then I got 100-foot distance. So, and then I know I'm looking for the height of the tower, which is just going to be the difference between this point and this point, or the length of this line. Alright, so in order to solve that, what I need to look for is, a triangle. Right triangles are usually the easiest way to solve something. Looking here, I have a 90-degree angle, because I know that this is vertical and I know that this is level. So they're telling me that this is the equivalent of a 90-degree triangle. Alright, when I plug in my information, angle A is 22 degrees. And angle B is 42. Alright, so this is what they've given me to figure out this problem. I need this line. So in order to get that line, if I'm working off of this triangle, I need a distance and an angle, right? All I have is two angles. Okay, over here, I have a distance and an angle. So I can start by, trying to find this distance. So then I'll have what I need over here in this right triangle to calculate this line. So once I find a triangle, what I do is try to solve everything I can. That way I have as much information as readily available. So I start doing this, like this angle here. Okay, so from here to here, it's 180, right? So if I subtract 42 from 180, it's going to give me this angle. Okay, 42 from 180 is 138. Yep, 138. All right. And I know the sum of my interior angles of a triangle is going to end up being 180. So I can add these two together, which is going to give me 160. And so that's going to make this angle 20. All right. 20 degrees. Okay. Now, in order to solve for this, since this is not a right triangle, I've got to use one of my other functions, one of my other trigonomic functions or formulas. I mean, this one's going to be the law of sines, which is just going to give you your distance. So let's label our triangle. We got A. Let's call this one number 2. We're going to rename it to be B. And then this angle is C. Alright. And that's going to give us a distance AB here, which we know is 100 foot. We got distance BC. It's unknown. And we've also got distance AC, which is also unknown. Okay, so I know that the law cosines, or sorry, law sines tells me that the distance that is across from this angle, so my opposite, where that angle would point to, okay, which is BC, the distance B to C over the sine of angle A, which is 22, is going to be equal to the opposite of this line. So what will be is the distance from A to B over the sine of 20. All right. Okay. So immediately we know we can go ahead and plug in that distance from A to B. Is the only one we really have, which is 100. Okay, so that, I like to go ahead and get rid of that. A fan of using all the parts of the formula, it just gets too crowded. So if I know that that's my variable, I just like to go ahead and use X, because it's just easy for me to solve for X, and I haven't got a bunch of letters in there I'm not using. All right, so let's get a calculator out here. Let's see, 22 sine of 22 is 0.37. Okay, so to the nearest tenth. All right, so let's go with, we could go with 0.4 if we wanted to round the whole thing. So this is a big deal. This is going to be one of the, when you get to your final answer, okay, you have to make a decision now while you're solving. Are you going to go ahead and start rounding to the nearest tenth now, or are you going to wait till your last answer? Me, I like to use 3 decimal places and then round the final answer. You'll come up with multiple answers. They're not going to grade you on these. They know that there's going to be some ambiguity in there, and I'll show you the correct answer when we're done, but and you'll see it's a range. So what I like is this one right here. So now I've got X over 0.374 which is equal to 100 over, and let's see, 20, the sine of 20, which is going to be 0.342. All right, so now we know we've got our law sines set up. All we got to do now is solve to get this X. This is just a fraction. All right, so I'll just take our calculator here, and I like to change that to decimals because it's easier for me to understand. By 0.342 is going to equal. So now we've got X over 0.374 is equal to 292.397. All right. So just got to multiply that over and times 0.342. So I'm going to come up with not what I'm looking for. So I'm supposed to do 374. Yeah. All right. So 292.397 times 0.374 equals. There you have it. So x, right? So we broke that down. Remember, originally x was the one that was opposite of 22. Right. So this one here, the one that this angle is pointing to, the length of this line is 109.356. All right, so now it's easy, right? All we've got to do now is SOHCAHTOA. We've got the line opposite of our 90-degree angle is going to be our hypotenuse, and we are looking for the angle that is, the distance that is opposite of this angle. So we know that that is SOHCAHTOA, so it's going to be the sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse, which is going to be the sine of 42, which is equal to x in this case over 109 point, whatever I got there, 356. All right, let's get the sine of 42 real fast. 0.669. So it's actually going to be equal to 0.669. All right, so now what we actually have is 0.669 is equal to x over 109.356. Okay, so if I'm dividing by 109, all I got to do is multiply it out. Okay, so $109.356 times 0.669 is equal to 73.159. So 73 to the nearest tenth would be 73.2. All right. So there is our answer. Our height is 73.2. Okay. Now let's look at our range here. And here's the solution. Same thing we just come up with. But you see how the correct answer here is a range. It is not a single answer. If you'll notice in their math and their solution, they only carried out to the 10th the entire time, but they do account for your final answer being there. So 73.2 is what we got, which would be considered a correct answer. fantastic news, right? Jesus Christ, we're doing great. Getting it done, boys. Getting it done. Okay, so